is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Oh, JJ Wang, the dog days of summer are here. There is diddly squat going on in the fantasy world. I mean, our promo is all about underdog best ball. Got a couple of those going. If you're in the big leagues, you're in part of the Scott Fish Bowl. I keep trying. One of these years, we're going to get into the Scott Fish Bowl. It shows your name. I'm in a donation one on Underdog to maybe get in or try to get some merit. I'm trying my best to get the Couriers into the Scott Fish Bowl. I'm working on it. It's coming one of these
Probably
years.
take some time. Well, the good thing about it, they allow so many people in every year. So,
Yeah, there's so many people that want to do it. Like there are so many podcasts. We are like a drop in a pond.
oh
Like it's not even
yeah,
a fish in a pond. We're like a drop in a pond, and
oh yeah.
I appreciate all that listen to us. It's thank you guys for. I'm still baffled that you all want to listen to us Numbskulls talk. I'll look in like we just posted this. There's people listen. What
I
you
know.
all
Yeah,
are
I'll see
amazing.
it.
It's
It's gonna
pretty
be.
awesome.
These people are just waiting for it to drop. I'm like, all right, man.
Yeah, we had one guy, one of our friends, Jeff, who was like, "Yeah, you're the guys I listen to for fantasy advice." And hey, good news is 2 years ago he won the championship. What can I say?
Before we start listening to us, right?
No, that was the year he listened to us most. He doesn't listen to us much because he's just so busy right now. But yeah, so I'd say last week we were talking before the podcast was one of my favorite episodes we did. It was just a cool because we really threw each other for a loop at times because we don't know what each other is saying and we don't know where we're coming from, and it was kind of a different kind of dynamic versus like, hey, I've got these two guys, you got these two guys. We're throwing something against the wall and we're seeing what we can make stick, which is it's a different dynamic and it could lead to some cool ideas. So kudos to you, podcast creator.
Yeah, I mean, you listen to so many podcasts over time. I mean, you just come up with not really ideas, but I mean, kind of like take everything from everybody else. I mean, pretty much just talking about the same guys every time. Just how you want to do it differently, trying to come up with something different. But yeah, this week we're going to do the NFC. I enjoyed it last week. I'm looking at it this week, the NFC. It's just I didn't realize how bad. I'm not going to say bad, but how all the top end players are with the AFC. Makes it a little more difficult to do these all pro teams here.
Oh my goodness! I mentioned before. I think we won't have as much of a disagreement when it comes to receivers, but everything else, there's a couple guys, but I think the second team's gonna get messy, and then that second play, it's gonna be quite interesting to see where we end up with this all NFC team as we go through this. You ready to go? And we'll throw and see what sticks.
Yeah, let's do it. So for quarterbacks first, of course, and it's pretty much a unanimous decision, just like last week. Jalen Hurts,
Mhm.
locked in. I'm pretty sure it's the QB1. I mean, this team is great receivers. The running game, I don't know how good the running game is going to be, but it doesn't have to be great. Just got to be efficient enough. Miles Sanders was okay last year. Did you got DeAndre Swift? But yeah, Jalen Hurts number one, and I'm going with my number two is Justin Fields. I think his receiving does get or his passing does get better. It did get better at the end of last season when he started running more. He got DJ Moore. Plus, I mean, he's still going to run the ball, so I think Justin Fields is my QB two.
Wow, that's a yeah. Jalen Hurts. I'm excited, and I wish I'd have been more aggressive. I think I've mentioned before. He was my favorite quarterback coming out that year. Like I love Jalen Hurts, and he was that Tua Burrow Herbert class. But then I just hated the landing spot, and I liked Carson Wentz. Wah wah wah.
Yeah, did we all?
We should figure out where he's going to be the backup this year. Hard to tell. That's coming out soon. My number two is I thought you were going to say this guy, but you're higher on Fields than I am. I expect Fields to have he came out so guns a blazing there towards the end. Like I guess guns out of blaze. I don't know what's guns a blazing
Well,
after
I
that.
mean, he had such a terrible first half of the season
Yeah,
that if he just has a decent first half of the season, his numbers are going to be better. And he finished as the number six quarterback last year on like half a season worth of production.
and my guy actually played half a season last year, well, give or take. And I'm one of the few truthers. He's very divisive, but I just think playing in Dallas with CD and the running back with Pollard and just the way that system is set up for success. And I think Brandon Cooks is going to help him this year. Gallup's going to be fully healthy. I just expect Dak to come back to forward. I mean, realistically, Dak, based upon how strong the AFC is, Dak's like the number 10, 11 quarterback. Like that's where we are. Hurts is probably three. Could be argued to two. I think that we've argued him back forth, two or three, depending on what we think Allen's going to do this year. Or Burrow. I mean, Hurts probably four, actually. Him and Burrow are probably the argument there at 3 and 4. But Dak, we're looking, boom, down there. Like Fields, I think I have Fields and Dak within the 8 to 10 range, probably somewhere in there. If I haven't done my season rankings yet, but I think Dak with the weapons, and I like him on the first team because pass the rushing of Fields isn't Garrett is gonna be there, but is there gonna be a regression? I'm not a DJ Moore truther, so the Bears are still not a great team, and
Oh
the
yeah,
Cowboys are a pretty.
The Bears are not a great team. I can argue whether or not the Cowboys are a great team. I don't think the Cowboys are always underperforming. I think of course the offense is going to be a little better. And like I said, Dak at the end of after Dak came back from injury, played decent. Does throw a lot of interceptions. Does hurt. He doesn't run for as many touchdowns as he did earlier in his career. But I think the offense is still going to be. Well, I'm not still going to be, but it will be better than Chicago. Like I don't have any problems putting Dak here. I'm just more of a fan of Justin Fields than I am a Dak. I want Dak to succeed because I love one of the wide receivers. So I'm not going to argue that. And Dak is always a top 10 quarterback. I think he's consistent enough to be a top 10 quarterback. So if you want to go for consistency, I don't have a problem with Dak. We can go with
That's right.
Dak as that guy. But obviously Justin Fields is definitely the higher ceiling. Fields could finish as QB1, where I see Dak not being able to finish as QB1. But yeah, got no
Yeah, I can
problems
totally
with
see that.
Dak.
Fields is my next guy. It's funny in Dynasty they're back to back in my Dynasty rankings, and he's literally the next guy I have on my list. So it's
Yeah, so we could go Dak there. Got no issue. So we'll
oh,
get
that
Hurts
means I
and
got to
Dak,
give up something later. Oh
QB1
no.
and QB2. Running backs. This one's kind of tough. I mean, it starts off hot, really good, and then it just goes completely downhill fast. I went with probably the two highest rated guys. I went CMC and Barkley. They both done it before. Barkley's going to get all the opportunity he can handle. CMC, I don't know if he's going to get all the opportunity he can handle, but he's in probably one of the better offenses for a running back. So I don't see anything changing with these two running backs as, the one and twos.
I I totally agree, and I think CMC could even be more effective if he gets a little bit less. Maybe that'll keep him from the 3 years prior when he's getting hurt all the time. Eli Mitchell, if healthy, is a stellar running back. It's stellar. He's a good running back. If he's healthy, he
Good
played
running
really well. We were all grabbing him in Dynasty and stuff, and then he kept getting hurt. And they're like, "Hey, I can get CMC. Heck yeah, I'm gonna grab him, even though I got a good running back." It's San Francisco; they want 12. So if they take back some of his runs, that means he might get more passes. It means he plays more games, and CMC is probably right now the best running back in the game. Rounded,
I would say. I mean,
yeah,
best friend. I mean, he's what you want in a running back. I mean, he's literally a weapon. He can run, he can receive, and heck, he can even pass the ball when he really
yeah.
needs
I
to.
remember that
So I
game.
mean, he can pretty much do it all. Like you said, I think he's probably the best weapon that there is in football. I mean, the guy can literally do everything. So I mean, that's pretty unanimous. You got anything to say about Barkley?
Barkley, I think they just if he signs the tag, I guess, but they're just going to run him into the ground. They're going to run
Yeah,
him because they can, and he's a great best ball guy too because he's a long. He's going to score 80-yard touchdowns.
yeah, I mean the key is these are the only two guys that have pretty much done it before, and they both are kind of injury prone, so you got to be careful with that. But they've still done it before. I think that was probably one of the easiest ones. Switching over to wide receivers,
Might be easy too.
uh, this was probably with the where all the depth was at. I went CD Lamb, of course, probably could possibly be my favorite player. I Justin, as I was writing this, and then I got when I went to log on, I did see where you put Justin Jefferson, and I was like, oh, he could completely flip my mind.
Forgot
I
him.
forgot to completely put him on my list. But of course, Justin Jefferson, he would be one, Lane would be two. And then my number three, I went with Amon Ross St. Brown here. I think he's going to get all the targets. There's not a lot of receivers there. He had 146 last year. I don't think much changes. I mean, golf did kind of win me over. I think they're still going to pass the ball. So I went with Amon Ross St. Brown here.
Holy crap! I did not see that coming. I have JJ, Justin Jefferson, CD Lamb. They're the cream of the cream. They're top of. I mean, Justin Jefferson and Chase are their own tier, and then it's CD, and then the other all these other guys because they're really good. I love Amon Ra. I've been a truther. I thought he would drop last year, and boy was I wrong. And would I have a couple teams I could have him still on, but nope, I'm a doofus. But my third guy is Cooper Cup. Cooper Cup is, if healthy, the he would be right there with CD Lamb for that second tier in redraft leagues. And all signs are saying he is healthy. All signs are saying Stafford is healthy, and they're connecting. They've got a what we both believe they've got a running game this year. They've got Higbee's an underrated tight end, so there won't be as much pressure. Van Jefferson, they're in shorts looks great. We'll see what happens. And my boy Puka is going to have a great year out of the rookie slot. We'll see what happens. But I just think a healthy Cooper Cup can't beat it. I'm not going to argue with Amon Ra. I'll trade my DAC for the Amon Ra. You can put Amon Ra in there, and I have no problem with it because I know you got to have Cooper on your second team. But I just think Cooper Cup, the talent is just there. And I mean, I think we got what, 2 years of top tier Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, like I said,
Cup,
Cooper Cup.
Cup
I
is
mean,
solid.
he's really good. Like coming back from last season. I mean, like I said, he was hurt. Coming back, like if you would project his season numbers out for the second half of the season, I mean, he would have been not pretty. He would have been pretty close to what he was doing the year before. The
Oh,
offense, still not sure about the offense. The offensive line is still really bad. The defense is going to be really bad, so they're going to throw a lot. Stafford, they say he's healthy, but I don't feel like Stafford is ever really healthy. Like it's just, but like I said, I love Cooper Cup. This one's kind of tough here.
nine
But like I
games,
said,
112 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I mean, it wasn't that stellar pace the year before, but it was still he was knocking it out of the park, man.
yeah, he was like I say, he's still having a great season, but he is 30 years old. At some point, these receivers do start going down. But like I said, I wouldn't even have any issues putting Cooper Cup on the first team. I know that's pretty much as far as the running backs go. I mean, he's done it before, but there is the injury history. And I think Amon Ra's pretty safe, but I think Cooper Cup has the higher ceiling, right? I mean,
Yep.
Cooper Cup has been wide receiver one. I'm not sure Amon Ra can be the wide receiver one.
Nah, I think his peak probably is going to be 5 because he's well, but it's interesting. They play the same role. They're both more possession, but Cooper does get some of those long. Amon-Ra, he's had some, but he's more of a possession receiver. And I don't know. Yeah, I love the guy, so I
Yeah,
have
so
no.
I'll let you make the choice here. If you want to put Cup on the first team, like I said, I've got no quarrels here. I think Amon Ra is just an up and coming receiver that's going to be at the top of the game for a top 10 wide receiver for the next 3 or 4 years.
I mean, I put Cup there and Amon-Ra as my next guy, but if I do that, then I
Okay,
get my entire first team.
that's man. I mean, like I said, that's fine. I just took it just a little different with the NFC being so wide open. I thought I'd be a little more wide open. But hey, if you want to go with Cup, got no issues.
Tight end, easy. Is there
All
any
right.
discussion needed? Like,
I mean, my tight end, I went with T.J. Hawkinson here. I know.
oh my
I,
gosh, I did the wrong league. I had Kelsey.
oh yeah, I think Kelsey's so good. He's the
He's so
starter
good.
for
He's
the
hitting the
AFC and the NFC as well. Yeah, I went with T.J. Hawkinson. And we know there's being in Minnesota, Justin Jefferson is the guy there. Last year, Hawkinson was way better than I realized. Like the end of the year, his target count was insane. So I mean, the targets are going to be there. He's obviously the number two target to Kirk Cousins, who's always a top 12 quarterback. I mean, Jordan Addison. I'm not too scared for Hawkinson's targets. So yeah, I think Hawkinson is the tight end one in the NFC.
Yeah, we disagree. I am not a big Hawkinson. I'm trying to, as I'm doing this, I'm trying to compare the stats. I'm not a Hugh Hawkinson believer. I guess I got snake bitten so much. But tight ends are so tough that Hawkinson last year had these great games. Too much pulled up on my screen. This I'm trying to
His
do this.
target count was insane every game.
His target count was insane, but his he had this. We're looking at the amazing from like week 11, 34 yards, 43 yards, 33 yards, 77, 33 yards, 109 and 2. That's what killed me in the playoffs. 59 yards, 16 yards. That was his season. He had one game, two games. He had that big game versus Seattle. Two games over 100 yards, and then no other game above 80. One game 80 or above, and then two in the 70s. And that was I never noticed that till I listened, we listened to multiple podcasts, pointed it out, and I was like, holy cow, I did not catch that as all. And that's what's caught me up in not getting stuck in the Hawk love, because I'm a Kittle guy. He's a great blocker, but what can I say? We're looking at Kittle having from week 11 on 84, two touchdowns, 26, 22, 28, 93 and 2, 120 and 2. He killed it in the playoffs last year. 23 and a touchdown, so it saved his week, and 29 and a touchdown. So I mean,
It sounds like it's pretty
similar.
much the same. It's pretty much the same thing as Hawkinson. I mean, it's either
Just got
30
touchdowns.
yards, it's either 30 yards or it's 100 yards. I just think the offense is going to throw a little more. There's not as many weapons in Minnesota as there is in San Francisco, and I'm probably pretty steadfast with Hawkinson being the tight end one here instead of Kittle.
No, I'm giving him to you because I got my last two. But I will put in my DJ Dove sealed. I think Hawkinson's gonna he would probably be on my bust show for the year.
All right, all right.
But
So
I'll give
moving
it to
over.
you because I know Kittle will be too. Well, no, you
All
might
right,
argue.
so reviewing the first team we had Hurts and Dak. Can't argue there. We had CMC and Barkley. Can't argue there. Lamb, Jefferson, and Cooper Cup. I mean, the most reliable receivers the NFC has. And then we went TJ Hawkinson. So moving over to the second team, this one, my quarterbacks kind of got a little off right here. I can't believe I did it. So I went with Dak as my QB2 here, but obviously that would be Justin Fields. And my QB4 was Jared Goff. I mean, he impressed me last year. I don't think much changes this year. I think he's going to be like that QB 8, 9, 10. I know Daniel Jones is right there. We could put Jones here or there. Either one's about the same. But I went with Jared Goff.
I love that, and I hate that I didn't do it. So obviously, we're putting Fields in this spot for all the arguments we had before. Since I got Dak, you got Fields. I put, and anybody who listens to us knows that Jared Goff is my boy. I put Daniel Jones here for this is like my quarterback running tier because Goff had Jones by 1,000 yards passing, but Jones ran for 700 yards, didn't trip over the 1 yard line too much, and had 7 rushing touchdowns. So it's once again, it's that whole same thing as with Fields is hope the rushing. I'm guessing is going to be they paid Jones. Maybe the rushing goes down. That could be the what messes people that finally got confidence in Jones because now he got the bag of cash and he got paid. But I am 1,000% willing to give up my Daniel Jones just so we can recognize the amazing, stellar play that is 4,438 yards and 29 touchdowns of Jared Goff, and probably my second favorite team in the league. The
I mean, yeah,
the
yeah. I mean,
Detroit.
I like Daniel Jones. I want to give Goff his credit. I wouldn't be surprised if Jones is right there at the QB4. Moving over to running back. This is where it kind of got interesting. So I went Bijan as my RB here on the second team. I don't not really I got no rhyme or reason. He's the number 8 overall pick, and usually top 10 running backs they get the ball and they produce. So that's what I'm going with here. So they like to run the ball. Ritter's not a thrower. I think they're going to run a lot. I even think Algier will have his moments just because they're going to run so much. I think Bijan is going to have a stellar career, and this next one here, I just went fandom here because I think he's going to have a lot more work than any of the other running backs. And I went Cam Akers just for the hope of it finally paying off. I think the end of the season was really good last year, but who knows how things could go. Pollard, is definitely a consideration, but I'm still worried about that. He's going to get more work. Efficiency's going to come down, of course. You got Ken Walker. Charbonnet comes in. Second half of the season for Walker was a little different than the first, but I'm going to go Cam Akers here.
Wow, that you're just making me happy with guys. I did not have the intestinal fortitude, as the WWE used to say, to to go with with Cam Akers. I love me some Cam Akers. I just finished up our rookie draft for my OG Dynasty League, and my team's so good that I had the 4.9. We have a 4 round. It's only 10 teams, and I almost traded away Cam Akers. I just couldn't do it because my brother-in-law knew I loved A Chain, and I think A Chain's he's gonna ball out. But I just couldn't do it because Akers, everything's looking like he's gonna be a 3 down running back for this team. Everybody else stinks on the team. I love it. But the cool thing is I got Puka Nakua with my 4.9. That's who I wanted. It's all I wanted from the draft, and I walked away. But I love Akers. I don't have either of those guys on my second team. I have this problem, and I've got to get over it. And you're right in what you say. I really struggle with putting rookies too high. And Bijan, I love Bijan. I was excited to get Bijan. We were in a league where I bet all of my money, but one guy had so much money that I wanted Bijan. I love Bijan. I think Bijan's going to be stellar. And I don't know why in rankings I'm always scared of him. Scared of putting him in there, and then Brees Hall, who looks stellar. I think Brees Hall is one of my top 4 dynasty running backs. Looks stellar, but ACL first game in. You can't predict your
But
injury. But it's injuries. But
you can't base it
you're
off
right.
injuries.
You can't
And
base on
Brees
injuries.
Hall, and if you wouldn't have ranked Brees Hall high, you would have looked very, very not smart because he absolutely murdered it. And Bijan Robinson has even more capital, so he's going to get even more opportunities. Like I said, if you just go by what trends that happen, they're usually right. And then when running backs are drafted high, they perform.
Yeah, Bijan's my number 2 dynasty running back, so I've got him there. It's just in redraft, I always get scared of him. I had
So
Tony Pollard.
who do you have here?
Tony Pollard. I don't. I'm not a Tony Pollard guy. Don't like Tony Pollard. I don't. I mean, I do have him ranked highly, but he's a guy I'm scared of. He'd be like we did like a haunted house show. Guys that you're scared of what they're gonna do. Tony Pollard looks so good, but is he could be one of those guys that's a complimentary back? But who else is going to run the ball in Dallas? Mike McCarthy says he wants to run the ball in Dallas. I've got some of the other ancillary parts of the Dallas backfield. I love Deuce Vaughn because he's smaller than me. I would love to see him run, but there's nobody else there. So just by sheer volume, Pollard will get the ball, and if they're going to run, and he's going to get the catches. So that's why I put him there. Not because I like him or not, but I love the next guy. You hate my number 2 guy here, Miles Sanders, who dynasty way down there for me. But I just think this year in Carolina, I mean, I've said it before. Foreman looked like Jonathan Taylor last year in that Carolina offense. They're gonna run. They're gonna run. It's the same argument as Atlanta. I think Carolina's gonna do exactly what Atlanta does. They're gonna run. They're gonna run again, and then they're gonna run over Bryce Young a little bit. He'll do a little bit okay, but he's a rookie quarterback, so they're gonna run some more.
Okay, so I mean, so we'll meet in the middle. You get a guy, and I get a guy. Which one are you taking?
I'll be honest. I want your 2 guys because they're my third team. Like I'm almost tempted to cede them to you. Um,
I mean, we can do that too. I mean, I've got
yeah.
no. It's hard for me to put either one of those guys over Bijan because I think Bijan's going to get more work than both of those guys. Still, I think he's still. I think the Atlanta run game will be decent. But that's either way. I mean, you get a guy, I get a guy. We can meet in the middle, and or we can just take both my guys and see where it takes us.
I mean, these 4 guys for me, honestly, probably redraft could be. I mean, Bijan. I think I'm always scared of rookies. So if I can get over my rookie bias, Bijan should be the best of the 4. So put Bijan in there. And then the other 3 are a ball of people who I'll be able to get Miles Sanders late because no one likes him except for me. Akers, Pollard, I'll never have because he goes too high. But we both love Akers. I want to throw Akers. I almost put there in front of Miles, but I was like, I want to put Miles in there, and I want to recognize that I think he's gonna be awesome. So take both of your guys, Bijan and Cam Akers. I'm cool with.
All right, yeah, we'll take both. I am a little higher on Miles Sanders. I am coming around a little bit. I'm not
Hey,
all the way there.
we'll
Like
see
I
where
ain't
the
coming
ranking show goes in August.
All right. So moving over to wide receivers, everything's all jumbled here, so hopefully I get this right. So I'm going to go with Brown squared. I got AJ Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown as my 2 receivers.
Mhm.
And the third one is kind of tough. I either want Chris Olave or I want Devonta Smith. I'm kind of worried here, where it's going to be, where it goes. But I do believe with Derek Carr coming into New Orleans, being I don't want to say the only wide receiver, but the biggest option, the number one option there. It, I'm going to go Chris Olave here instead of Devonta Smith, and it really, really hurts that, but that could change at any moment.
Hope it makes you feel better. I put Smith in there. Same three guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown because I love him. I really would love to put him there if Cooper wasn't so good. AJ Brown. I mean, how is AJ Brown on the first team? He's so he. I've hate. I'm AJ where you are growing with Miles Sanders. That's where I was with AJ Brown last year, and he. I mean, he produced, but he was never consistent. But last year he just killed it. I mean, AJ Brown could easily jump over Amon-Ra St. Brown and be all first team next year. I believe that. And Smith, he proved us all wrong. He proved you don't have to be, bigger round than my fingers put together to be a successful receiver. So Smith and then Olave is actually my next guy on my list, but I put Smith in there just because I'm a little worried more about the Saints' offense. Like Derek Carr, I support him. I think they're not going to be terrible. I mean, they could win that division because it's pretty bad. I mean, the Falcons could win that division because it's a terrible division. But is winning that division 8-8 or 8-9 and 8, 8-9 even? Um, and Olave, I mean, Carr does support number one receivers. All throughout his tenure, he supported a number one receiver, and unless Michael Thomas, who they're saying he's who knows.
Hey, he's healthy. That's from what I hear. He's healthy.
I mean, the guy I always get is Shaheed. He's a Best Buy guy if you want him from there. He from New Orleans, but yeah, so I'd like to twist your arm to throw Smith in there. We have the
I,
back to back Eagles.
you don't
This is
have
for
to
you, Bird
twist.
champs.
You don't have to twist. You don't have to twist very hard. I mean, Devontae Smith is now on the team. Got no issues with that. Like I said, I just don't know how much they're going to be able to support. Those two wide receivers plus Goddard. It's just going to be. I think it's going to be a little harder than what it was last year. So moving over to tight end. Of course, we'll go with Kittle here. I got no issues. We know the guy loves to block. I, it's hard. It's hard in that offense. You just don't know where the targets are going to go. But he's pretty consistent. He makes the plays. He makes the touchdowns. But I mean, Dallas Goddard is in consideration. Is in consideration here.
Yeah, Dallas Goddard, he's my third guy. I mean, those are the three tight ends for me to look at as of, today till someone steps up and jumps in. But if we were to put Goddard's my number two and Hop's my three, actually.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Yeah, I got
I
no
mean, my
issues.
number two is three Eagles. That's how good I think they're going to be. I mean, could the Eagles win 15 games? I believe so. But they're got first place schedule, so they'll probably slip some there, but without looking deep into them. But yeah, Kittle, I'd fight for Kittle for a second team if I lost Hawk for a first team. No
Yeah, I
argument there.
got no issues there. So redoing our second team here. We got Justin Fields and Jared Goff. Um, we stuck with Bijan and Cam Akers as a running back, so very happy there. We got Brown squared, Amon Ra, and AJ. And then we went with Devonta Smith. So two Eagles there in that high-powered offense. Hopefully it works out. And then we went with George Kittle. So I've got no so AFC arguably probably a little better high end. But I mean there's a lot of good players here. So going with your bench, is there any like quarterback bench guys that you're like on your team that you're excited for?
Not excited, but a guy if I get in redrafted, I put Kirk Cousins in there. He was my my bench guys is I put as like my third team. So my third team was Golf and Cousins, and I think Cousins he's considered the Mendoza line of quarterbacks. Like if you Kirk Cousins, if you want to just sail along, I mean, other than that Dallas game where he had what like three passes or whatever, but whatever that was, he's got stellar. He's got Justin Jefferson. You can argue the secondary guys are they're not great, they're not terrible, they're there, and he's got your boy Hawkinson, so he's got places to pass. And all Kirk Cousins does is put up yards. He might throw some pickles and stuff. Nobody likes him um, in the fantasy realm, but I, I mean it's also NFC, so he's still like my 20 some odd ranked
Oh
receiver
yeah,
quarterback.
yeah.
That's the funny part.
Yeah, one guy I'm excited about and interested to see how it goes. Sam Howell. I'm interested in seeing how Sam Howell performs. I mean, the offenses, he's got some pieces. Like I said, I wouldn't. I'm not excited to start this guy, but
Well, I think he's the
I mean,
guy
I
we'll
think
talk about because of our show dynamic. I think he's
oh,
the guy
yeah,
that'll pop up in the next little bit.
absolutely. Any running backs that like in
No, we
that
hit him
mid
all.
tier?
Those we because remember my guys would have So the third team would have been Pollard and Miles for us because
Yeah,
my third team was Bijan and Akers. So I mean,
like I said,
there's
maybe
always running backs that are gonna
yeah,
carry.
maybe Kenny Walker might outperform, but I'm not really sure about that. And receivers, I think it's a little interesting here. We got Drake London, Brandon Ayuk, Terry McLaurin. Out of those three guys, who do you see being like one of the top guy out of those three?
I have Drake London there, and you didn't even mention. I was sitting there, I was like, wait, it's not 1990. DK Metcalf.
I'm a little lower on DK Metcalf. I'm not high. I'm not super high on Geno Smith, and there's a lot of receivers now there in Seattle. I'm starting to worry a little bit
So
here.
would you,
DK,
if you had to rank the receivers, would DK still be above JSN, or
I
is
think to
JSN?
start. I think to start the season, I would have DK above him, but it could be very. I could be swayed very easily.
Yeah, I think Lockett's going to be the odd man out this year, and those two will be A and B by the end of the year. So and Drake
But
London's back
again,
there. I think Drake's going to be great.
Lock, Lockett Lockett makes his life out of one catch for 89 yards and two
That's my
touchdowns
last
somehow.
tool.
He gets one catch, but it ends up with three touchdowns. It's amazing. It's amazing how that happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like the NFC. I mean, grew up as an NFC fan, but I think the NFC high can compete with the AFC. What do you think?
It could compete, but there's a reason AFC won the Pro Bowl for so long. They've got,
Well,
but
Pro Bowl's garbage. Nobody
because there was a
tries.
Super Bowl, but no, I still think the AFC is it's it's kind of like think about the when we grew up as kids, the NBA, the East was so good, then the West became it fluctuates, and right now the AFC is just in its prime. NFC has great pass catchers, a couple good running backs, but the AFC. But that being said, if I had to gun to my head right now, I would say the Eagles win the Super Bowl. So NFC wins the Super Bowl because what are you going to do? Um, so yeah,
It's very positive. That was pretty fun. Hopefully, maybe we can continue doing on something like this. But I gotta go out here and start making dinner, so I'll do a little word of a so since it was 4th of July this past week, we forgot to mention Joey Chestnut continuing his dominance.
barely.
The amount of hot dogs that he's eating is coming down considerably every year. They're inching closer to him, so I think Chestnut might have another year or two before I think somebody might catch up with him here. So congratulations to Joey Chestnut. It was like a 3-hour rain delay. It was making me super mad. But yeah, shout out to Joey Chestnut. He's won like 18 out of the last or 16 out of the last 17 or something crazy. Dude eats mad hot dogs. So congratulations to him. And as always, trust yourself and trust the process.